Rebecca Dirks from Premier Guitar Magazine, and we are at GearFest 2008. We're just about to head inside the Performance Theater to check out some demos by Greg Koch of some Fender instruments, so let's go check it out.
And the amplifier I'm using right now is this Fender Supersonic amplifier. Who's familiar with the Supersonic? Let's see a show of hands. A few of you. Well, not all of you. That's why I'm here, so I can share with you, the people. Now, the Supersonic is, I don't know, 2 years old, 3 years old. They came out with this amp. Years ago, Fender had an amp called the ProSonic. You remember that amp? It was kind of a, you remember it. Why? Because you're a rock and roller, aren't you? He likes to feel the power of the night. And why not? Anyway. Anyways, the ProSonic allowed you to get some classic Fender clean tones, but you could also get some severe viscosity if you wanted a lead tone. You know what I'm saying? And that was something that was kind of absent on a lot of old Fender amps or newer Fender amps. The distortion problem, you know, how do you get some good sounding, believable distortion? This is my favorite Fender amp currently. Of course, I love all the vintage amps, and of course, the reissue of the vintage amps, I still use, you know, Vibroluxes and Tweed Deluxes and Super Reverbs and Twins and all that kind of stuff. But this amp is currently my favorite all-purpose amplification device. Now, I usually use they have a combo version of the amp, which has a single 12-inch speaker, and then I use it with a 212 bottom. I like that because I can get the ambience of the open back cabinet so that the sound is swirling around my brain, and the closed back cabinet allows, if I'm wearing bell bottoms, for them to flap with the breeze and the power. And I think that's important. So let me just give you the lowdown of what this thing does. The first channel itself is voiced like a Vibrolux. But basically the first channel of this amp comes as close to being what would be my favorite amp of all time, which would just have one knob that says more. You know what I'm saying? Who would buy that amp? You just want one knob, you're just like, and this amp has 3 knobs on the first channel, so it's close. You got a volume, you got a treble, you got a bass, okay? And what you're able to do is it's first voiced like a Vibrolux, so it's got this nice, nice clean. Get you all your Crystalicious. Oh, it's just, what was that word, Crystalicious? I gotta remember that one. Duly noted. Anyway. So I've got that Vibrolux sound. Now I barely have the amp on because I've got it on 3. If I turn it up any louder, this whole first row would be impaled with a blizzard of nails. You know what I'm saying? The power of this amp would impale them right in the cranium. But what's nice about this device is there's an effects loop in the back of the amp. You take a little patch cord, you go from the send to the return, and you're able to bump up the levels a little bit. So now when I hit the effects button on the foot switch, I just get a nice little incremental push. I can make it be a little bit more if I would like.
Play the hits.
Play the hits. I play the misses of yesterday and today. Thank you very much. That was a hit for someone. Anyway, so check this out. So who's got a syringe? I'm sorry. Well, I don't think that was politically correct. Whatever. But you get the idea. I went from a nice clean little tone, I hit that little effects boost, and all of a sudden I got a little Vibrolux on steroids. You know what I'm saying? Cool in the gang. But wait, there's more. The same channel I could voice as a basement amplifier. Who's familiar with basement amplifiers? Identify yourselves. A few of you. Why? Because they're powerful. Back in the day, of course, basement amps were made for who? Bass players, right? But see, back in the day, people weren't playing at the pagan rock volumes that they would later start playing at. You know what I'm saying? A bass player just needed a little amp at 45 watts you could plug in, and someone's playing a fiddle, and you could rock out, and everything would be cool. And then all of a sudden, the demon rock and roll took over, and people were turning up to volumes that were no longer feasible for that bass player to just plug into that little 45-watt amplifier because he started to sound like Jack Bruce, a little bit before it was time to be hip. You know what I'm saying? Distorted and all ratty. So the bass player's like, I ain't having that anymore. And the guitar player's like, what's that? Is it free? I'll take that. And so all of a sudden, guitar players started to plug into the old Bassman amps. They're going, this is the greatest guitar tone I've ever heard in my life. It's killer. So now old Bassman amps are the favorite of guitar players. Why? Because guitar players are mutants and they like free things. Who's with me on that? Identifiers. All right. So if I'm rocking on with this Bassman tone, you'll hear the difference right away. Here's the Vibrolux. It's all medium before. After. It gets all kind of snotty and mid-rangey, right? And then if I add the boost on top of that, at a James Gang moment. You know what I'm saying? But you get the idea. So in that first channel alone, you got your Vibrolux, you got your Vibrolux with the boost, you got your Bassman, you got your Bassman with the boost. It's crazy. Who's with me? Who's going to buy one right after the show? Identify yourselves. We need to see more hands. Whatever. Okay, so you get the idea. So then the second channel, this has been the conundrum. How do you find a good Fender lead sound that's going to work for you? And another problem with getting a good lead sound is, can you turn back the volume on the guitar and have it clean up in a feasible way? Because a lot of times you get good distortion on an amp, but you turn the volume down and it sounds like, and this is a technical term, poop. You know what I'm saying? The poop factor. What? Anyway, so you get the idea. So I'm on my little Vibrolux sound. I'm going. And also I want to feel power. But I want more power, so I'm going to press that little effects button. Very, very sensitive. I don't know how I find it in my heart to be so sensitive. Really kind of a cold and calloused individual. Anyway, you get the idea. You're able to go back and forth between these delicious clean tones and pure viscosity. And I got no pedals up here. Yeah, I could have pedals on top of pedals and get even more crazy sounds, but I'm just trying to point out the crazy versatility of this rig as is. You know what I'm saying? I know what I'm saying. That's important.
That was Greg Koch with Fender, and we're at GearFest 2008. For more videos, visit premierguitar.com.